Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode. Kelly and I will be exploring our relationships with our bodies from childhood and adolescence when we were athletes through motherhood and discussing our journey of body compassion. This is Jessica.
This is Kelly, the Chasing Brighter podcast.
Hey, Kelly, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good. How are you, Jess?
Good. Any fun, exciting things going on? I wasn't convinced with your response that you were doing good.
Just a lot hectic schedule. Seems like there's always something going on. It's just one of those days where I feel like I'm getting a lot of text messages from random things that I'm working on that it's like everything is happening at once. So I'm always feeling like this ball of stress. And also, if I have a random slowed response, it's because I'm letting the grocery guy in to get my groceries delivered, which is an amazing convenience in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a one thing that helps stress reduction, having the groceries delivered. I was going to say, I feel a lot recently that my text messaging is like my email at this point.
Agreed.
It's just more things to do, and I'm terrible, and I'm afraid to click read because then they'll know I read it. And then if I read it, I feel pressure. I think a lot of people have these high expectations that you will respond within 20 to 30 minutes. And that's when I work, because I work a condensed day, I work back to back to back. And so I will not be able to respond sometimes for 45 hours.
I had my hair cut by my gal, Ashley, who I love, who is also from Kansas. I don't know if you ever remember me talking about her, but she's my Chicago, Kansas girl. And she's running her own business and she has her own like little office suite. And she was just saying how she just got her own suite before. She just had like a 1 day a week rental from a friend. And so now she has more scheduling space. And she said she'll be with a client. And if she has back to back, she'll finish out a couple clients and then she'll check her text and she'll have like 20 text messages from clients wanting to schedule. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
It is why I texted her and like she didn't text me back for like 6 hours, but I knew that was the case. I mean, oh man, it's just it's like information age where when I get a text, I immediately feel anxiety because I feel like I need to respond right away.
Yeah. All right. So I'm stressed too. What I'm doing to manage my stress is trying to get in that daily meditation, moving my body every day, taking those supplements. You had sent me I haven't been able to find just vitamin B5 or B5 in a complex yet. So I'm on the hunt for that, but got my fish oil back, got the vitamin C back, and started some pure ashwagandha from my friend Mary, who runs Warrior Wellness supplements. And so trying the ashwagandha, seeing if that's going to help with my cortisol and stress levels. You're getting your groceries delivered. Are you trying to do any fun, positive interventions?
Your B5 situation that you're looking for, I take a, do you know that it can come in different formats? I think I'm talking about B12. What am I taking?
I want it to fix that it is it's Warrior Strong Wellness that I was talking about, but
I don't know what
B6 and B12 are often together, unless the thing that you sent me was a typo and it was not supposed to be B5.
What are you saying that I gave you though? I don't know what you're talking about, by the way. Oh, was it an article?
Making me feel less special because I thought that was, you were really
from
Dr. Caring.
From Dr. Carnahan. I did read that.
Okay.
I gave you all the things. Okay.
Yes, gotcha. It was like a Instagram story slideshow
Yes,
And it was
yes,
like
yes, yes.
feeling stressed, try these things. And it was all in line with all supplements I already had, but had slacked on taking and things I know to do. So it was just really reinforcing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. But I was asking you what you're doing for your stress, and you are strapped to too many devices to focus today.
I have 2 grocery rounds coming. I'm exercising regularly and using Alpha Stim. I haven't used it today, but that's a good one too, is just taking some time on that.
How's your meditation, friend?
It's not happening.
Yeah, that has been really helpful. And also, I have
That's what I
that
keep
morning
hearing.
guided
I need to just do it.
yeah,
I
morning
mean,
guided
I
meditation,
used
but
to, but
you can meditate like before bed and just lay down and try to do some of the
yeah,
things, even if it's a 2-minute meditation, you fall asleep. There's the intention there. And I call that a win, Kelly.
I for sure do. I think any small bit helps. I mean, I keep, as we all do, we know that meditation is really a cure all.
It is. I know people want to be like, and I was one of those people that was like, I tried meditation. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say it didn't work for me, but like I didn't think meditation was for me. But now I'm one of those weirdos that thinks it fixes everything. So.
The other thing I like about meditation is the mindfulness part, which is also helping me be more grateful. And it also helps contribute to happiness. And I know we're going down a rabbit hole that we maybe always go to. So I think the moment you can take a pause and like evaluate what's going on and be like, I have a great life and I love these things, or whatever those things are, to help you as well. So I don't think everyone's naturally happy. I think you actually have to like practice gratitude to find happiness.
And I think it helps me slow down. I hope I'm not asking for feedback, but I hope that I'm just calmer and exude calmness. And that's what I'm pretending is happening as I meditate. That I don't have to be so reactive in this life.
I could use some of that.
We're talking about body compassion today.
Yes.
And I mean, we can start off with I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but I love Rebecca Scritchfield. I think I found her. She's a registered dietitian. I think I found her being interviewed from another podcast, but she has a podcast, Body Kindness. And anytime I'm really loving, free stuff, obviously, right? Podcasts are free. Then I want to support that person if I'm really loving what they're putting out there. And so she has a book called Body Kindness. And from her book, which has a lot of great things in it, a lot of great stuff about loving your body and also the diet culture and why are you dieting? Did a doctor say, hey, you need to diet for your health? Are you getting feedback from a medical professional that is saying you need to diet? Or are you just doing that because that's coming from a place of not being kind to yourself and loving your body? So anyways, so she has a little quiz that is from Dr. Tracy Tilka, and it's a body appreciation scale. So I'll just read the questions and then you can just write down your answers and then we'll kind of see where there's wiggle room for improvement. So 1 is never, 2 is seldom, 3 is sometimes, 4 is often, and 5 is always. So number 1, I respect my body. 1 would be never, 5 would be always, and in the middle as well. 2, I feel good about my body. 3, I feel that my body has at least some good qualities. 4, I take a positive attitude toward my body. 5, I am attentive to my body's needs. 6, I feel love for my body. 7, I appreciate the different and unique characteristics of my body. 8, my behavior reveals my positive attitude toward my body. For example, I hold my head high and smile. 9, I am comfortable in my body. 10, I feel like I am beautiful even if I am different from media images of attractive people. For example, models, actresses, actors, etc. The closer your score is to 5, the more appreciation you have for your body. Review your low scores. Okay, let's go through that.
Okay.
So, I'll need to find that page again. Did you have any ones?
No.
Well, look at you. That's a win. Did you have some twos?
I had 1, 2.
I had, okay, I had a one.
What was the question on the one?
It makes me sad. I feel love for my body. Number 6. I
Hmm.
feel love for my body. I think as I go through this, it just depends. Sometimes my brain is trapped in the 90s with like supermodels and what beauty standard was for me. But I do have unfortunately, right, we have experienced the death of family members and have seen people lose their ability, their mobility. And, I know people who struggle with chronic illness and disease. And so, in that aspect, I do have a lot of moments where I'm really happy that I feel strong and my body does not limit me in any way. Where was a two? You can tell me the number. I can tell you the question. You're two.
I was a 2 on I feel good about my body.
Yeah.
I read that as, if I think about what would bring me to a 5 on that, is that I am happy with my size and shape and I don't need to make any changes. I put that as seldom. It's like I'm never happy with my body, and I don't think I ever was like happy with my body. And then you look back and then you realize you should have been happy with your body back then, because like, girl, that's going way down south.
That is how I screenshotted. I follow, and I'm gonna put this, we're gonna have a coinciding like blog post with this, but I follow a lot of body positive people on social media, and there's a thing that says like, oh, wanting hating your body in the picture, and then 2 years later, like you're saying,
like you get bigger and bigger or whatever, and you keep hating your body.
Right. I'm a typical person. I have 3 children and I got bigger with every child. Right. And so you're like, oh my God, I hated my body before kids. I hated my body after the first kid. I hated my body after the second kid. I hated my body. Right. So I'm like, oh damn, if I could be back even after the second kid, can I go back just after the second kid and then be grateful?
Yeah.
And that does, and so I was, reading this book, and she had something in there, instead of talking about a shape or a size or a weight, saying, I am going to be in the moment. And so when someone's taking a picture, right, I'm going to be in the picture. I'm going to just live in that moment in my body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I scored a 2 on that same question. And I think, yeah, I'm thinking of size and shape because health wise, right? I feel good. Do you feel good health wise with your body?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now for sure. I think, taking care of one's body is important, and I don't do as much as I should in terms of like yoga and stretching and things like that, which I feel like is probably taking care of my body. And I don't do that. Which is like sort of like I should yoga more and I should meditate more, which don't take a lot of effort.
I read a should indicates black and white thinking, right? Which can lead to dysfunction because it's like there's a right and a wrong way to do things.
Okay.
I feel like that's judgmental on yourself.
Oh, I'm super judgmental on myself, which is why we're talking about body image.
Any 5s? Let's flip it and look positive. Do you have some 5s on that?
I'm going to give myself a 4.5 on one.
I gave myself a 5 on, I feel that my body has at least some good qualities. I mean, at every moment, I can notice it has some good quality. Like for me, I think I'm pretty freaking grateful that I'm mobile, right? Like I can walk and run and jump.
Yeah, that's kind of why
myself that.
I probably could have given myself a 5 on 5, which is I'm attentive to my body's needs.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you're listening to your body.
I think that goes with sleep too, right? I
think
sleep's in there.
That's a good one.
I think like number 9, what was that one? I don't know. And it's like,
I am comfortable in my body.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I gave myself a 4. I mean, like, yeah, I don't really. I think it's.
Sometimes I go ahead.
No, you go, because I don't know what I'm gonna
Sometimes
say.
I'm just so over it. I think it's so stupid and shallow. And we talk about we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And it's like, really? Am I like whining about my body? Really? I wish I could just like get over it.
I feel like if I can stay physically healthy and continue to feel good through diet and exercise, then that probably should be all. And I should stop beating myself up about, how you look or don't look. I think, the one thing about body image, and I don't know about what the book said, was about being self conscious about a thing, right? So it's like, I think generally, it's like, do you appreciate the different unique characteristics of your body? Some things I do. We all like parts about ourselves physically, right?
Right.
But then there's the other parts that are like you're self-conscious about. And everyone's self-conscious about different things, and everybody doesn't see those things. So for example, right now I can see on the screen my scalp. I'm super self-conscious about the fact that I feel like my hair is thinning. And because I have like, this scar from like skin cancer surgery on my scalp. And so like I always, if I ever get my hair done, I'm always like, you cannot part my hair down the center. I can't do that because I have a scar right there. And so it's like a bald spot and I hate it. And now the style is to do center parts and I can't ever do one. And like, I have to accept that I can never do a center part.
Yeah. First of all, and like you're saying, I don't notice your hair at all. And also, I try the center part and I know that that's the thing, but I feel that I look so stupid. The center part, I can't even handle it. I'm a 90s kid who needs to have the big flip of the swoosh. Look at my giant hair right now. Like I'm rocking some 90s vibes. I can't do the flat part in the middle. It feels weird. I don't think it fits my face very well. So I'm actually doing it just to support you in solidarity.
Yeah, thank you. It is weird by changing your part how like it just makes you look like a different person,
Yes, I don't like it. Yeah.
It's weird.
But like because like someone had said you can tell you're older. Like center parts for those young kids.
Maybe that's the case. I do watch TV, like news anchor women, and they're all still doing the side part. Like a lot of them aren't really. And then I like look up how old they are, and now they're like my age.
So for me, I think a lot of the origins, understanding now, full circle being a mother, I can see where my body image struggle started was because we were 18 months apart and I'm a totally different body type than you. And so I was like the same size as you, right?
Yes.
You were scrawny and petite and we were like I just like was a fat baby and you were like a skinny failure to thrive baby.
Skinned rabbit. Yes. And it never changed. And like I would get your hand-me-downs sometimes,
Well, and people would say, "Are you twins?" And then they would always ask if I were older.
They thought you were the big sister.
And people would say, "Oh, are you the big sister?" Big, right? And so for girls, we were raised in a binary world at that time, and our existence seemed that way, and so it was like that was not good to be big. And so even though I wasn't big, right? I felt huge. I felt like something was wrong with me.
They used to just say that you were big boned. Remember people used to say that word a lot for people, like big boned.
Yeah. But it would be like meant like Uncle John would be like, "Oh, you're just big bone, like so and so." Well, that's not helpful. I'm a 13-year-old girl.
Well, how did that make you feel? Like, how did I get like, big bones? What does big bones
or like Uncle John told that to his daughter, right? To one of his girls at Crystal. He's like, right to her. And I was an adult, I think. And he was like, "That's why I say you're built just like Jess or something." I'm like, "Oh, great. I'm sure she really appreciates that." But I think when we had our boys, because our older boy, my oldest son and your oldest son are 4 months apart. And there was this picture that I'll never forget. I know that little picture. It's like at Easter and they're sitting in the grass and they each have little bucket hats on.
Yeah.
And like Dominic is this dark skinned, fat baby. And Wes is like this very pale, skinny baby. And I was like, they are never going to have the same bone structure. Right. And so it really was like a light bulb for me. Like when you have a completely different body type and bone structure, like you cannot be waif thin, right? Like I cannot have skinny.
I
Can't
don't
be
think
this
I used to think
thing.
that Wes was that way, and then I had Beckett.
Oh,
And I think Wes is bigger than Dom now. I'm
well, isn't that funny,
curious.
right? And it's all relative and stupid because then you grow up and yeah, right. And now Dominic's like super skinny. He's
Yeah.
like a thin body type,
So
but
everyone's
he was
body
a big old fat baby.
changes too.
But like people would say, I remember people saying to them, look at those thighs, look at that, and it really made me realize there's a wonderful podcast I love. I think it's Heather Robertson, Heather Roberts, Half Size Me. And she talks that she is raising her children to never comment on someone's body. Like you don't say, "Oh, you've lost weight, you look skinny. Oh, you're getting big." Like just don't say anything. Why do you have to say anything about anybody's body, period? And so I think about that and I'm like, I think that's pretty incredible. And to think about that, like, why are we saying anything about anyone's body? Why not talk about your accomplishments or your brain or, like, why is it even a conversation?
Like
It's
it
dumb.
is, well, maybe because we're like visual beings in some way. But I think it's like getting away from being the judgmental stuff. And we grew up in an environment that was a very judgmental environment. So if you pick up on like social cues and like your communication skills, how you were raised, that was something that you would say. And I have a hard time when I see people, haven't seen people in a long time. Some people I see you haven't seen in a long time, like, oh my God, so good to see you. Wow, you do look great. And
Right. But oh yeah.
I can't do that
That's my
because sometimes
body.
I'm like, do they really do I they make me feel it makes me feel good, but I feel like they say it in a very sincere way. And if I do it, that was so good to see you. Oh, you look so great. And like I don't really
I
feel like I
don't,
say
yeah,
it in a sincere way.
I don't think I'm one to pour out compliments. That doesn't feel natural to me. To be like,
Yeah.
oh, you look, people go on and on and on. You're like, dude, okay, okay, with the compliments.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm not that way either. But I do think getting away from looking at people physically is important. And
But you're more than your body.
we talked about, I don't think I think it was much more about being fat and skinny when we were growing up. I don't feel like it's so much that way now.
Well, I think the body positivity movement has grown a lot of traction and is incredible. Just as far as size representation, think about in the media and ads on TV, in clothing stores. Kelly, there was a freaking clothing store. I don't know if it still exists, called 579, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
for 579s,
Yeah.
right? So I don't even know. Remember Mom and Dad took us to JC Penney. I remember getting JC Penney catalog and going in the JC Penney thing, and there was a catalog that was called Husky. Did you ever see that? It's called like it was like the Husky size, right? They don't like all of that has changed, right? It's just sizes. There's this side of the store,
Yes.
right? I think
Yes.
they're getting away from that and like because people are really big on that. What's that called? Like size inclusivity. Like there was a brand I was asking you about, and the brand made it a big deal that they were going to carry all the sizes, right? And so not just having. So I think we grew up in a 579 world, and
Well,
that's why
I
it's like,
totally agree.
oh,
Well, there's also like I don't know, there was that store Chico's, which is not of our generation necessarily, because I feel like it was like for older women or like maybe people who are more working professionals when we were not. But they had like a 1, 2, 3, 4 sizing thing. The whole sizing stuff is
oh
really
yeah,
messed up.
yeah.
I'm sure
Someone
there are
else
books
does
written
that.
on the
Yeah,
psychology of sizes because like in UK we're bigger size. We're bigger. It's the same sizing. It's just that you're bigger. So if you're a size,
right.
6, you're a size 10, blah 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 blah, which is really messed up, which means American retailers, I'm sure that's what happened, right? They like change the sizing to make you feel like you could wear something smaller where it's really actually the same size, just a smaller number. So it's all
So
those
I
things.
follow Alex Light, who I think is amazing, and she's a digital creator, and she promotes body confidence and fighting beauty standards. And so she will go to a place, get all the same size jeans and lay them out. And even though it's the same brand, same company, women's sizing is completely different. So even and it's not the same for men's sizing.
Well, and honestly, I would
So you could
be curious if you did a survey and you asked every single woman in America, well, actually even in the world, if you had two pairs of jeans and they're their exact same style, everything about them, but one was a size smaller than the other, you would buy the smaller size. Like I will buy clothes, even if I'm kind of on the fence, because I'm like, wow, I didn't know I fit into that size. I'm getting that because that makes me feel good about myself that I can fit into a smaller size.
Yeah, and I think I've done a lot of work with that because following like changing, I'm like deprogramming myself and following all of these body positive women, and I'll follow, we like the to know app, and I'll
Mhm.
follow people, and there'll be this person that's so gorgeous. Anyway, so they'll say, "Oh, I'm this size." Right, and they look adorable, and they're like, "Oh, the t-shirt's an XXL. This shirt's a small. This shirt's a large." And it seems to me and actually anybody on the Like to Know app, they'll be like, "Oh, this is a large. This is a whatever." And you're like, "Oh, well, that person's totally beautiful and healthy and wonderful, and they're wearing a small in this picture, and they're wearing an XXL in this picture. So what the hell does size even mean anyway?"
I think
So that helps me.
I think I've learned over the years, to your point. I mean, you can be beautiful at any size. And I see people who are beautiful at any size. I also feel like as you get older, for me, I feel like I get I'm not as like, my goal for myself, I always say when I like meet with a personal trainer or whatever, is to just be lean. It doesn't matter what size you are, being strong and healthy.
But see, to me, lean, when I hear lean, so what's difficult is I have a large chest. I have big boobs. When I hear lean, I think flat chest. Or remember when we worked out all the time and we were athletes and you would do like 2 push-ups and your arms would be cut. And you'd have like a line down your stomach
Yes.
when we were in high school. I have a completely different body. Right? I worked all the time. I was super fit. I was super healthy. I'm not going to be cut, right? And so it's like, and I have big boobs like those. I mean, I guess I could have surgery, right? But like to me, that's part of my body that's going to be different, right, than
Absolutely.
others. So I don't think I could be lean.
Well, but I also am
big
like,
boobs.
what am I really trying to achieve? I think at the end of the day,
Cover model status.
no, because I also like, I know my body type. It's like I'm not a supermodel. I'm 5'5". So that's not supermodel status anyway. But it's like, and
Why
also,
not? See what you just said? Girl, we need some reprogramming.
yeah, probably.
What do you
right
mean?
on that one.
Why? Now we're all cover models. That's the whole point. I love that. I think it's amazing. I love that mannequins are changing sizes. I think and I think there's a huge push that weight doesn't equal health, and they're not weighing you as much in the doctor's office. Like weight is completely arbitrary. I know a lot of thin people who are incredibly unhealthy and have chronic health issues.
Yeah,
So
that's
like weight
true. And also
is
like the whole
not
BMI
like
thing is like really wrong anyway, right? That's
oh my God.
all
I
like
thought, okay,
skewed.
I know I've told this story before, but I thought we know that the BMI was like created by someone and has nothing to do with anything. But when Dominic was 8 or 9, he was in like pre-competition for gymnastics and he had a 6-pack. And I took him to this doctor who, don't worry, we saw her once. And she sat down and was going over whatever the vitals, and she goes, "Oh, look at his BMI is blah blah blah, and according to that." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? He has a 6-pack." I said, "I'm stopping you right there. I don't believe in the BMI. Look at my son. He has a 6-pack. We're not doing this." But like, are you? Yes, yes. There is an obesity epidemic.
But
Yes,
the problem
there are
with
children that have diabetes and prediabetes, and that's serious. But can you look at this child who is dense and heavy and has some kind of makeup in which he's super heavy? Like his belly is not flopping over his pants. He's not pre-diabetic. Like it was the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I never saw her again.
And the thing,
That's
because
dumb.
as much as I think modern medicine is fabulous and helps us all be who we are, those types of things are based on like the 2020 census of children, and they just like they do it based on what they're judging you based on a population of people instead of like the fact that like everybody is different. So that's the part that's annoying about all of that is it's like, if you're on the 95th percentile, it's because in the 2020 US Census, when they looked at 8-year-old boys, you know, this was their like whatever the medical records. You know what I mean? Like this
Right.
was
Right. It's
because
just crazy because it's like, wait, I think there are health issues that can come, right? With like if you're not able to be physically mobile due to your weight, if you're not able, like if your weight causes you to not be able to live the life you want, then explore weight, right? But there could be a totally different way to address that than just like an arbitrary. It was just interesting to me because he was like, anyway.
what did she say when she just didn't really,
She just looked at me like I was. She
"Oh."
probably just was like, "This woman's completely insane," and she just stopped talking about it. And I'm also like, God, you know how many people I've seen over the years that their doctor said something about their weight and then caused disordered eating for the rest of their life? Can you even think about what you're saying? Let's say Dominic was totally obese. Let's say he was 8 years old and 15 pounds overweight, and she was absolutely concerned that he was diabetic. Send him out of the room and say, "Hey, listen, I'm really concerned. Let's get some blood work going. I'm very concerned that his weight could be causing medical issues." But instead of being like, he's a fatty in front of him, like, and that's what happened to my clients. Like doctors would say, you know, the parents would start talking to them about going on diets at a young age. And all that does is create disordered eating, you know? I
That's
don't know. Did
crazy.
you ever go on a diet as a kid or a teenager?
No, I mean, I don't remember. I think the first diet I really remember was in college, my senior year where we did the cabbage soup diet.
Oh, gross. Did it work out for you?
What?
Did that work out for you?
For that 3 days that I was, you know, it was silliness. Makes me think about my college girlfriends and want to laugh. No, I mean, we did some stuff. Remember we did chromium picolinate was a dietary supplement that we took in high school because it
told us to take.
It was supposed to like help you get
now?
lean or burn fat or something.
Yeah. I'd like to competitive weightlifting. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
5 minutes. Yeah, I think I saw myself as such an athlete. And I think because we worked out all the time, I don't think I thought of my weight. You know, I definitely felt sometimes bigger, which is so funny, right? Because you look back, I was a cheerleader, I was in basketball, I was in volleyball, track. Like, I didn't have a weight issue, right? It was just, I think, from all those comments from when I was a kid, made me feel different and bigger than other people.
Could you imagine like the way that the younger generation doesn't see this way? Like they're definitely, well, I don't know if you see that, but I feel like because of the clothes that are being worn by all shapes and sizes, that they're definitely it seems like they are less self-conscious.
I think because they've been, right, a beauty standard is social, it's a social construct. And so because everyone can wear everything and all different shapes are celebrated, I don't think there's as much shame surrounding them. I mean, there are so many things I love about Gen Z and Gen A, and I love I just think they're such loving souls. Or maybe I don't know if you're getting that from your kids, but I feel like my kids are so accepting and so loving, and they're so like, oh, you know,
there's no judgment.
Yeah, like they have a lot of friends who are non-binary.
Well,
they have a lot of friends and it's not even anything.
But I think it's because of who they're around in a lot of ways. And it's because of who their families are or whatever. Because I do think there are kids that are around adults, particularly parents, who might be critical of things. And as they get older, they take on that trait and are very critical of others.
And I think it's not as accepted. And so that's and just for I guess I can only speak to my particular children, that is the
minority,
no longer the norm. And that would be like, oh, look at the unaccepting person. Right. Versus
I
like
agree.
you said, the way we grew up, it was very judgy. I felt like we grew up in a very heterogeneous, area, going to Catholic school, and then Notre Dame was like super, like,
I don't know. I thought it was
right?
liberal compared to where we grew up.
You did?
Yeah, I did. I
Oppressive.
did.
You thought it was liberal? What was
My
liberal about it for you? You didn't have to wear a uniform.
No, my whatever that was, freshman or sophomore religion teacher was not Catholic.
Oh.
And it was amazing. So there was that. So maybe I
You
should say
were like, it was
religious.
really crazy. If there was one person on campus that wasn't Catholic, it blew my mind.
Well, and no, because my freshman sem was oppression. So we read like Malcolm X and just a lot of things where I feel like there was a lot of conversations and a lot of classwork that I felt was much more open-minded than where I came from.
I felt like I was always wanting to push boundaries and be different. And when we went to college, I felt like I climbed back in a mold.
I totally will go with you there. I do think in hindsight, going to Notre Dame was extremely vanilla in a lot of ways. Everybody was just sort of was the same thing, right? Like everyone wore the same clothes and shopped at the same places. And that, I didn't think about that before, but that's a really like unappealing part about my experience in hindsight was that.
But I ended up being so I ended up taking like a lot of gender studies classes. And I think that's when I started the feminist in me really started coming out. And
but see, they offered that.
Like,
it's not like they didn't
gender
offer
relations. Yeah, no, but I joined like the gender relations committee because they were like, there are all these students that are just hooking up, but like men and women are not friends and not interacting because they had such a high percentage of kids that were coming from single sex schools. And so I was on like gender relations and I was reading all these books and like, really. So I think the education is there, and anytime you have the ability. I think Notre Dame going there for me changed my life because it exposed me to things I never would have been exposed to. I ended up studying abroad. It opened my eyes, right? That's why I'm a lifelong learner and I love books, because just reading books and being inspired by other teachers and professors sparked more for me in life. But when we are talking specifically about, body image and body compassion and looks and judging and all of that, I think from that perspective, I very much wanted to look like everybody else.
Yeah.
But how do you and how can we, make that shift to loving our body and having compassion for our bodies, and what do you do?
I think this is part of practicing mindfulness is also learning to love your body, right, for what it is. And definitely it's got to be some lifelong work to just appreciate who you are. And I do think as you get older, that's the part that goes into the fun part about aging in some way, because everybody ages, and I think you get to the point where you learn to love. I feel like you learn to love your body. Did you ever ask? Our grandmother lived to be 93, and I wonder if she loved her body.
Oh, I talked to her about it a lot. And it's so interesting. So she was tickled pink. She was like losing weight into her 90s. And I remember Mom and I took her shopping and we got her like a medium cardigan, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a medium." And I was talking to her about it, and our grandmother was one of 11
or 12. Not 12.
And possibly 12. And she outlived all but 2, right? And so she watched her sisters die. And she told me that when she was growing up, our great grandpa would say, "Eat while you can, because you don't know when you won't be able to eat anymore." And her one sister had stomach cancer. And so she had to watch her sister lose the ability to eat. And her other sister, sorry, I wish I knew everyone's names. I know their children, but anyway, she watched her other sister die of cancer as well, and not be able to nourish herself and wither away. And so we had those talks about like, it's all so stupid, right? Like she didn't love her body. She was big chested. She was the only one of all the sisters. They said she got all the boobs. So she was the only one that had the big boobs. And so she said, how silly that we, spend this time about our bodies when you could be in a position where you can no longer nourish your body. And I think that happened for me with Aunt Jean when Aunt Jean got cancer, right? Like she was Weight Watchers and dieting like her whole life. And then, I don't know, it just makes you think, again, this is all so stupid, right? It's so stupid, right? Like if you can get up and move your body, love your freaking body. And how can we practice that compassion and gratitude instead of getting wrapped up in this stupid stuff? Like, am I a small or a large?
I think that's a great way to wrap up this discussion, is at the end of the day, there's more to life than your physical body and appearance, right? It's about personal connection. It's about, taking care of yourself. And maybe part of, that sort of body image piece is trying to really give it a different perspective where it's less important. It is less important. And maybe that is why you get older.
I think you can start that by, that's how you're going to compliment people. I'm going to start really noticing all of these characteristics of other people. Instead of looking at their hair and their nails, I'm going to look at them. I'm going to think, what are some great things about that person? And I also think, like we've talked about, do you show respect to your body? Are you comfortable with your body? And how can you appreciate the different and unique characteristics of your body?
I think that's a great way to look at it, Jess. Way to sum it up.
That's all for today. Thanks for listening.
And don't forget to follow us on chasingbrighter.com or on YouTube at Chasing Brighter or on Instagram at Chasing Brighter.